How's it going, guys? Chris here, aka Chew. Before we get into today's video, I just wanted to take a second to thank everybody who's been checking out my videos, subscribing to me, liking my videos, following me on Twitch and everything. I kind of just started this channel as a hobby. I really like Magic the Gathering, and I've been playing Arena a lot lately. And it's just really cool that people are liking my videos, so I'm definitely going to continue to make them, and hope you guys continue to watch them. But I just want to thank you guys. Alright, so we'll get into the deck here. This deck is often called Jundwhirler or Jundwarriors. It's called Jundwarriors because it plays a lot of the warrior tribe. Cards like Growth Chamber Guardian, Gruul Spellbreaker, Goblin Chainwhirler, a few different warriors. But let's get into the deck. To start, we have Rick's Mighty Reveler. This card comes down for 1 and a red, and when it enters the battlefield, you can discard a card and then draw a card, and then if its spectacle cost is paid when you deal damage, you can discard your hand and draw 3. This is really effective if you have less than 3 cards in hand. You can activate its ability and then draw 3 to get an extra card, or if you have useless cards in your hand, you could pitch those cards to get 3 new useful ones. Hopefully. And then we have Growth Chamber Guardian. Growth Chamber Guardian's really sweet. He comes down for 1 and a green, and if you can adapt him for 3, 2 and 1 green, he gets 2 counters on him, becoming a 4/4. And then whenever you do put a counter on him, you get to search your library for another Growth Chamber Guardian. So if this guy can sit on the board and you can just keep adapting and putting Growth Chamber Guardians into the battlefield, you can quickly overwhelm your opponent. They quickly run out of removal spells if they can't deal with him early. Then we have a Thorn Lieutenant. A lot of people are running Direfleet Daredevil in this slot, but I found I was facing against a lot of aggro and a lot of Goblin Chainwhirler that was just killing my Direfleet. And the Direfleet was a little bit too slow. I wasn't really playing against a lot of control, so I found the Thorn Lieutenant a little more useful. He is actually still a warrior, which is awesome. And then when Thorn Lieutenant becomes the target of a spell or ability, you get a 1/1 elf. So if they take out your Thorn Lieutenant, you're going to still get a creature, even though it's just a 1/1. And then in the later game, if you have 6 mana, you can pump him +4/+4, so he can get in there for 6. So later in the game, he's like a pretty big beater. And then we have Goblin Chainwhirler, which is one of the namesake cards of the deck. Goblin Chainwhirler is a 3/3 first strike for triple red, and when he enters the battle, he deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. And now the combo of this deck is you activate status in response to Chainwhirler's ability. So Chainwhirler enters the battlefield, you cast your status on him, he gets Death Touch, and then when he deals his 1 damage, that's going to deal 1 Death Touch damage to all of your opponent's creatures and wipe out their entire board, which is super awesome, really fun combo. And otherwise, he's just dealing 1 damage to all your opponent's creatures, and that's just good for taking out a bunch of 1/1s. And a 3/3 first strike is a solid body. He's a little bit tougher to cast, but we can make it work in this deck. And then we have Gruul Spellbreaker. Gruul Spellbreaker's 1 red and green for a 3/3 Riot Trample. He's also a warrior, and then on your turn, you and Gruul Spellbreaker have hexproof, so your opponent can't target him or you with any spells. And then he can either come down as a hasty guy or a 4/4, so he's just a little bit tougher to remove, or you can get in there and beat in with some tempo. And then we have Rekindling Phoenix, which is an awesome card. Rekindling Phoenix is a 4/3 flyer for double red 2, and when Rekindling Phoenix dies, it gives you an 0/1 elemental creature, with at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this creature and return Rekindling Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it gains haste. So this just makes Rekindling Phoenix really tough to remove. Your opponent usually has to use like a Lava Coil, Veracic's Contempt, or 2 removal spells, so it's just a really strong creature for 4. Really sticky against the different control decks and the mid-range decks and such, and a lot of aggro decks just can't beat him. And then lastly, at the top of our curve, we have Scarag Hellkite. Scarag Hellkite is a 4/4 for 5, 3 double red, with Riot and Flying. So he can either come down as a hasty 4/4 with flying or a 5/5, and if you do make him as a 5/5 with a counter on him, you can activate his ability for 3 and 1 red, and Scarag Hellkite deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. You can just use this to kind of close out games, either killing your opponent's creatures or just beating them in the face with a 5/5 and pinging their face every turn for 4 mana. He's just a really useful creature. He is a little bit weaker against 1/1 removal, so he's not as good against the control decks or some of the mid-range decks post-board, but he's still a pretty strong creature, especially in the main deck. Moving on, we have our removal spells. So to start, we have Shock and Lightning Strike. These are just our burn spells. Shock for 1 red is 2 damage, and Lightning Strike for 2 mana is 3 damage. So these are just early removal spells that can also go at your opponent's face to kill them quicker. Really good in the main deck. Sometimes they get a little bit weaker in the post-board games, but you can always board these out, and they're still really solid early removal spells, as well as you can just whip them at your opponent's face and kill your opponent real quick. Status and statue I kind of talked about earlier a little bit. So we do have the combo with Goblin Chainwhirler of giving him Death Touch, but status is also really good just to like save your creatures against, say, like a Moment of Craving that's giving your guy -2/-2, and you can give him +1/+1 to save him. Or even just if you're trading up, say your Goblin Chainwhirler is going to attack a guy with First Strike, and you can give him Death Touch to kill a big blocker, or I don't know, like a Growth Chamber Guardian is just going to be a 2/2, but you can trade up and kill that big Carnage Tyrant for 1 mana. And then the other side, Statue, you can destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment, which is really useful because it's just super versatile. You know, you can kill Treasure Map, you can kill Search for Azcanta, you can kill Wilderness Reclamation, but then also you can kill some bigger creatures like Lyra, Niv-Mizzet. Just a really good card with a lot of options for you. The last of our removal, we have Eldest Reborn. This is one of my favorite removal spells. So when it comes into the battlefield for 4 and 1 black, each opponent sacrifices a creature or a planeswalker. This is really powerful if they only have like 1 or 2 creatures on the board, or if they're playing like a control deck and they just have a Teferi, or say if they have a Carnage Tyrant or something that has hexproof and you can't deal with it. The first effect's just super solid, and if you can keep your board clear, you can just slam that down and gain some tempo. And then on the second turn, they discard a card, which is just some card advantage. And on the third turn, you get a creature or a planeswalker back from your graveyard or your opponent's, which can sometimes just win you the game. You can get something super strong like a Teferi or a Niv. It's just a solid 5-drop enchantment. And then we just have some planeswalkers. To start, we have Karn. So Karn's +1, you reveal the top 2 cards of your library, and your opponent chooses 1, and the other exiles with a silver counter on it. And then his -1, you can choose one of those cards that you used his +1 to put a silver counter on. You can choose one of those cards to bring from exile and put it in your hand. And then lastly, his -2. We won't be used too often because we're not really an artifact deck, but in a pinch, it's good to get a creature. He's more so just to gain some card advantage. He comes in at 5 and he can +1 to 6, so he's tough to deal with. And then you can draw some cards off him. And we have some bigger creatures to defend him. He's just really solid. And then we have Angrath. So Angrath comes in at 4 for 3 black and red. He can +1 to make your opponent discard a card and lose 2 life. And then his -3, you can gain control of a creature, untap it, and it gains haste. So it's pretty much an active treason effect. You can steal your opponent's creature and attack them with it. So that's really nice if you could steal something bigger like a huge Hydroid Krasis or a Niv-Mizzet or something and then kill your opponent with it. And then if it has less than 3 converted mana cost, you actually sacrifice the creature. So you can use this to like take something and then attack them with it, and then you can sacrifice it to like use it kind of as a pseudo removal spell. Just a really cool card. It's also really useful against cards like Hydroid Krasis and stuff. Hydroid Krasis is blue-green X, so it only has a converted mana cost of 2, luckily. So you can actually steal this and sacrifice, and you'll get like sometimes like a 5/5 or a 6/6 or whatever, which is really cool. As far as our lands go, to start, we just have 3 mountains, and our red-green lands. We have 4 Stomping Ground, 4 Rootbound Crag, and 3 Gruul Guildgates. We're mostly red-green, so these are our main lands here. And then they're hiding a little bit behind my little picture here. But we just have 4 Blood Crypt, we have 2 Dragon Skull Summit, 1 Overgrown Tomb, and 4 Unclaimed Territory. So these are our black lands. Black isn't as important as we only need black on turn 4 or 5. And we want to be casting our Goblin Chainwhirler on 3, so we always want to have triple red. Which means the Blood Crypt and Dragon Skull are okay, but we only have 1 Overgrown Tomb because we do just always want to have 3 red sources. And then Unclaimed Territory is really cool. Actually, let me just bring it over here. So Unclaimed Territory, it enters the battlefield and you choose a creature type, and then you can add 1 mana of any color to cast these creature types. So for our deck, since we're a warrior tribal deck, we're going to name warrior on this land, and that allows us to get red for our Goblin Chainwhirler, and at the same time we can get green for our Thorn Lieutenant, green for our Growth Chamber or our Gruul Spellbreaker. It really just fixes our mana and allows us to play these 3 colors as well as play Goblin Chainwhirler. It's a little greedy, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And then just to go over the sideboard here, We have a status and statue, which is really good against the mid-range decks or the decks with extra artifacts or enchantments that you want to deal with. We have 4 lava coil, which is a good early removal spell. Really good against like Phoenix and cards that are going to come back from the graveyard. But also if you just need the extra removal for like a Steamkin or something, it's really good to have there. Cinder Vines is a card I've been liking a lot recently. It's really good against like Search of Escanta, really good against Wilderness Reclamation, the Niv Mizzet decks, any deck that's kind of like casting a lot of creature spells, or has like pesky enchantments or artifacts that you want to deal with. You can kind of just have Cinder Vines sit on the board and it deals sometimes like 4 or 5 damage for 2 mana, which is super nice, as well as threatening to destroy an enchantment or artifact if your opponent plays it. Sorcerous Spellglass is a card that's really good against Search for Escanta that you can name on there, or Teferi. It's also really nice because you get to look at their hand and kind of see what they got going on. And the nice part is, if you board this in against Esper, Mortify can only deal with enchantments, and usually they only have Teferi to deal with artifacts. So if you name Teferi on this, they usually have no way to deal with it, and that just blanks Teferi and you don't have to worry about him anymore. Then we have 2 Legion Warboss. This card's really good against the control decks and the decks like Simic Nexus without a lot of interaction that are just maybe playing Root Snare to try to slow you down. He can kind of just sit on the board, make goblins and pump them up, make them 2/2s with his mentor, and you can make a little army of his own and kind of kill your opponent that way. Then we have our Planeswalkers. We have 1 Domri, 1 Karn, and 1 Vivian. Domri has +1, gives you a mana, and if you spend it on a creature, it gains Riot. So that's pretty useful. You can give your creatures haste or make them bigger. And then his -3, you can look at the top 4 and get some creatures from there. Since we are a creature heavy deck, that's really useful. You can just draw extra creatures against the control decks. And then he's still at 2, so your opponent still has to deal with him, as well as you got those creatures that your opponent's gonna have to deal with. Karn we kind of already went over. It is nice to just have a second Karn in the sideboard, because if they deal with your first Karn, you still have those cards with the silver counters on them. You can play your second Karn and then access those cards. And then we have Vivian, which is another great one against mid-range and control. Her +1 just gets you more lands and creatures, which is always excellent. Her -3 deals with artifacts and enchantments and creatures with flying. So it's good against like Experimental Frenzy or Hydrocrisis, different just flyers, enchantments, pesky things that are annoying, as well as if she just sits on the board, she can just draw you more creatures and win you the game. But that kind of sums up our deck there. This is a really fun deck that I've been enjoying playing a lot, and it's really strong. You can definitely get some sweet wins. We're gonna go into the ladder here. I am Mythic. I'm a little bit lower in Mythic right now since I've just been playing so many random decks, but we're going to play some best of 3 games, and hopefully we'll have some fun ones that I can kind of show off the deck here. Alright, so to start our first one, we're on the play here. This hand looks pretty good. We have triple red with a Chainwhirler to cast it. We have Scarreg later in the game. And then we have Status Stasis combo with the Chainwhirler, so this should go pretty well. Yeah, I've been streaming a lot recently, and I kind of stream cursed myself, if that's a thing. Every time I play offline, I do more than fine, get lots of wins. But as soon as I start streaming, I get a bunch of losses. But 'tis the life, I guess. Here we're playing against some mono red. Should be a good matchup for us since we have the Chainwhirler. And Rekindling Phoenix is pretty good here. We're just gonna play this tap just to save us the life. And I hope everybody's fine with the music I've been playing. I'm trying to get game sounds fixed. For whatever reason, they're not really working right now. I played a Gitsu. It looks like he's on the like red-green deck. The 4 Experimental Frenzy, red-green cards in the sideboard. This one's really neat. He'll probably just attack us for 1 here. Luckily, he doesn't have spells to activate the +1/+0 on his Gitsu, but we're still going to take a little bit of damage here. Oh, okay, he just attacks us with the Fanatical Firebrand here. And then we'll go to our turn. Here we could actually just name Warrior on this. And then we're going to play Growth Chamber. He is a Warrior, so we can cast him off our land here. And we're just going to hold up Status Statue. Hopefully we can draw another land off the top of our library. And nice. See, this is what I mean with the Status Statue. Sometimes you can just save your guy and make them have to use 2 cards or whatever. He might even have to ping with his Fanatical Firebrand there. That's fine. He does activate his Gittus there, but that should be fine. Ooh, nice. We'll play our Gruul Spellbreaker here. He's also a warrior, not that we'd have any issue playing him otherwise. But we can just play him as a 4/4. And then we can block. Hopefully we'll get another land to play our Chainwhirler combo, or Rekindling Phoenix, but we're in a pretty good position right now. We are at 9. He didn't attack us though, so that's good. And we do have a Thorn Lieutenant who blocks quite well here. Unfortunately, we still don't have a land for our Chainwhirler status combo, but as soon as we get that, we should be able to lock up the game. And I mean, these creatures block pretty well. He's going to have to 2-for-1 himself on the Gruul Spellbreaker and the Thorn Lieutenant. Thorn Lieutenant's pretty darn good against mono red. It's another land and a Fanatical Firebrand. So hopefully we'll get another... Oh, he doesn't attack, interesting. Hopefully we'll get another land. Yeah, nice. So we're gonna put on full control just so we can respond to our trigger here. Get red off of our thing here. And play our Chainwhirler. This is the fun part here. We're at 7, which is a little annoying, but we'll let him enter the battlefield. See, he thinks that he's only losing his 2 guys. Little does he know, he's losing all of them. Nice. Ooh, that was a misplay. He targeted Thorn Lieutenant with Fanatical Firebrand. So the trigger goes on the stack, and then we'll give our guy Death Touch here, paying 1 black mana. I don't know why he gave us a elf for free, but I'll take it. And then that should wipe out his entire board. Maybe he wanted to make sure the Thorn Lieutenant couldn't block, but his guys are all dying regardless, so that's a-okay. Maybe we'll get another land so we can play the big old Dargon. We did not, but that's okay. He only draws 1 card off the top of his library, so we can just swing all here. And we got the first game there, nice. That was an awesome one. Creature decks are really, Creature decks are a really good matchup for this deck. So we're gonna put in our extra lava coils here. And then I think just another status and statue. And then we'll board out some of these slower cards. And Karn. That should be fine. You essentially just want to board out the slower cards against aggro, and then bring in the slower cards against mid-range control. Boarding with this deck isn't too hard, but this hand looks really good. We have early creatures, and then we have Lava Coil for early removal, as well as Lightning Strike. That's fine. We're gonna play Thorn Lieutenant here, just because if he does remove him with a spell, we still have a blocker to block Pyromancer here. Definitely a really big fan of Thorn Lieutenant, and when I realized he was a warrior, I was gonna put him in the Direfleet slot anyway, and then I realized he was an elf warrior, and I was like, oh, okay, it's done. I'm putting him in. So he did get the Frenzy. Hopefully he doesn't have another land here, but we'll see. I think we're just gonna play Gruul Spellbreaker here. We're definitely not gonna attack, but we'll just put a counter on him. I think we're in a pretty good position here, though. And the nice part against mono red is a lot of our creatures are really big, so it's tough to swing through as the mono red deck. Lava Coil's fine. Not ideal, but at least he's not casting that Frenzy there. That's fine as well. He can't really swing through our 2/3 here. Here we're gonna play Rix Maudie. It's a decent blocker, and we kind of want to try to get another land here. I think we're gonna pitch Strike. Awesome. We'll name Warrior here. Actually, we have enough land colors. I'll show you guys. The true gamer names Beeble. It has all the old creature types, so you can name some fun stuff. There's Squid is a good one. Squirrel is another one. Sliver. Brushwag's one of my favorites. There's some good creature types in the history of Magic. We'll name Brushwag. It's a classic. And then we're just gonna Lightning Strike his Gitu Lava Runner. The reason we chose that one is just these have 1 toughness, so if we do draw Chainwhirler here, it's gonna be a little bit better for us to have the 1 toughness creatures on the board. So we do get an elf there, which is really nice. Oh, he does attack. We're gonna double block here. Now he doesn't have any wizards. I don't really like that block from his deck there, but we're just gonna play this guy as a 4/4. Hopefully he doesn't have another lava coil or anything to deal with him, and we can just get the win. Or he has to use 2 removal spells, and then we have a little bit of card advantage here. I think Rule Spellbreaker is a very strong card right now, and it's definitely showing. A lot of people are playing him on the Mythic ladder right now, and the ladder in general. Light up the stage for 3, I can deal with. We'll play this untapped. I don't think we're under too much pressure. And then we'll play Spellbreaker with haste. If he wants to like Wizard's Lightning or whatever, that's fine. We're just gonna get in there for 7. We just want to beat him down. If we do get another land, we can't activate his ability here, which would be cool. They hit us in the face, okay. Well, light up the stage, that makes sense. He did draw land, but looks like he doesn't have anything, and then we're just gonna attack. Probably just activate Thorn Lieutenant's ability. Our opponent's taking his sweet time thinking if he wants to die here. Maybe he's just thinking who he wants to block, but he has that 13, so he probably won't kill him, but so our opponent's gonna go to 1 here. Or a 0. I know how to count. I know how to use my big brain. We got the win there. Apparently he doesn't know how to count either because he didn't block, but alright, we'll get into another one here. Hopefully we can get another good hand and get another win. We're playing at 707. He's a little bit of a higher rank than us, but not too worried about it. We are on the play. This hand's not too bad. We do have Spellbreaker on 3 and Karn on 4. Unfortunately, we are a little land heavy and we don't have too much removal, but hopefully we can draw well. We do have all our colors though, other than black, but we don't need black till a little bit later, so. Rick's Mahdi's real good here. We're gonna play that and pitch the Gruul Guildgate. That's like an ideal draw. Oh, and there's the shock, awesome. All right, we're in a really good place here. We'll see what our opponent's on though. He might be on a Gruul build as well. He did just play a Crawl Harpooner. I think we're just gonna go Stomping Ground tapped, which is an excellent draw here. And then we can just shock his Crawl Harpooner and get in for 2. He might play like a Spellbreaker or something, but that's fine. We can just play our own Spellbreaker next turn. That's fine. Does he have another land? That's the real question. He does. That's a good card, but we're gonna save that one. I think here we'll just attack in for 2, and then we'll play a Spellbreaker. It blocks Crawl Harpooner pretty well. And if he has any tricks, it's gonna die regardless, so. We do have the status to hold up, but I'd rather save that for a chainwhirler, especially if in like a creature mirror. If he just loads up the board, we can wipe it out. I think the Jundwhirler deck is really strong against all these creature decks. Like Gruul and Sultai and all these different decks. That's fine. He can't adapt that guy this turn here. No attacks, that's fine. So we do have some blockers now. What we can actually do is just play Karn and then hold up status and statue. Karn will come in and go to 6, and then hopefully our guys can block. He will get another Growth Chamber Guardian, but that's fine. If we can get Whirler, we're in a really good place. The land here is okay, but not ideal. That's fine, though. The point of Karn is just getting through your deck. You know, just like, if we were to draw the like Growth Chamber Guardian and then the land, it would feel so bad. But playing Karn and getting those 2 cards out of the way is pretty insane. So here, we're just gonna block like that and that. He might adapt his guy, but that's fine. Then like all of our creatures trade and we still have Karn on board. And then he would get a Growth Chamber to hand, but that's not really like, it doesn't really matter. It's just a 2/2. He can play it if he has another land, but he might have some tricks. Colossus is fine. They'll still trade, which is, I don't think that's very good. Karn only takes 2. Maybe he has a second one? Nope. No, I don't like that play at all. Potentially he doesn't have another land, so he didn't want to just like adapt and then just have 1 mana open. Yeah, I think that's why he did that, but I don't think that's very good. We're gonna tick Karn up here, and then probably just play Scar Egg with that. Ooh, spicy. He probably gives us the. I was thinking he would give us the Phoenix just because he didn't want his Growth Chamber to die, but this puts us in a really good place here. We'll just play this with a counter. And having Karn should just get us enough card advantage to beat this guy here. We did get to take out his guy here, so he's not doing anything with that. He could have like a Scar Egg Hellkite, but if that's hasty, it only comes down for 4 damage. I'm feeling pretty good here. I'm playing a lot of Mythic lately. I've realized the rank, he did deal 3 to our Karn rather. I've realized the rank doesn't really matter. Like our opponent's 707 and we're 93%. That's okay. Which is fine. Like you can gain and lose ranks so quickly in this game. So it doesn't matter too much. Here we're just gonna play a Scar Egg Hellkite and we're gonna hold up status. He did just play like a Shock and a Lightning Strike, so I mean, we should be fine to just resolve this and it should go uncontested. And then we can just ping his board. Even if he has like another Shock Lightning Strike, which would be pretty insane, we can just pump up our guy with status. That's fine. He did stumble at lands quite a bit. Crawl Harpooner. It's pretty annoying. But nothing you can do about that. They're just gonna trade. Oh, we just got a follower apparently. I'm not streaming right now, but that's pretty cool. Another Gruul Spellbreaker's good here. We can just play that with haste. Get in for 7 here. He probably won't block because I think he wants to adapt his guy. And then we'll just play Growth Chamber. We should be in a good place here though. I have been doing quite a few streams though on YouTube and Twitch if you ever want to check those out. Usually a little bit later at night EST. We did get game 1 there. But yeah, the streams have been really fun. Even if I don't win too much, it's always a good time. I think here we want Domri is fine. Probably don't need the Karn. We want Lava Coils though. Vivian probably. Angrath's pretty good here. Eldest Reborn's not the strongest. Scar Egg's okay, but not the best. I like another status statue. Whirler's okay, but not the best. And then we'll take out a strike here. That seems fine. But yeah, and we've actually been getting some good viewers on Twitch and YouTube. A lot of people are like watching the replays of my streams and stuff, so I really appreciate it if you guys are checking that out. We are on the draw here because we won game 1, but that's fine. Especially fine with an amazing hand like this. We have Gruul Gilgate on 1, and then turn 2 we can hopefully Lava Coil something if he plays something early. But then we also have the Growth Chamber Guardians into Gruul Spellbreaker and Rekindling Phoenix if we can draw a 4th land. Zertal Goblin's a card I'm not a huge fan of. He's a little medium. I don't think he's that good, but to each their own. We're gonna play Growth Chamber here so we can potentially adapt him next turn if he doesn't have removal. Thorn Lieutenant doesn't do too much here just because he has a 3/3. I mean, Zertal's pretty good as, like, he does come down as a 3/3 on turn 2, which is good, but at the same time, like, he does just die to Lightning Strike, and I don't know, he's okay, but if you are playing like Siege Gang Commander and stuff, he's a little bit more relevant because he is a Goblin, you can sacrifice him, but he did Lightning Strike our guy, which is a little unfortunate here. I think we're just gonna play another Growth Chamber and see. We can kind of just make him burn all his removal, hopefully. If he goes like Lava Coil here or something, that would be awesome. And we did draw the 4th land, so we can play our Phoenix sooner than later. Potentially next turn, we could even go like Thorn Lieutenant plus Lava Coil. Just depends what he plays. If he goes like a Phoenix here, though, that's really good. Nice. Lava Coil is the Phoenix killer, as they say. Always feels good. That Phoenix doesn't come back when you Lava Coil him. Can't complain about that. I think here we might just double block him. We might get blown out by like a Colossus or something, but if he does have like a Colossus and then like a Shock or something, it's not very good for us to not double block because then we'll just die. We'll force him to have it. I'm sure he does, but we can just play like a Rekindling Phoenix next turn and hopefully... Oh, I guess he doesn't. That's cool then. We get to keep our Thorn Lieutenant. Scarrig Hellkite for 5. We'll play Phoenix here. We really want a status and statue because we have the Chainwhirler and the mana to use it. Otherwise, we could even just like... If we didn't have the Chainwhirler, we could just cast it on the Hellkite, but if he's just pinging our guys, that's okay. Lava Coil's real bad, though. Even if we can draw Coil and Chainwhirler, we wouldn't have enough mana to use them both. We might be in a bad place here, and by a bad place, we might be dead. That's okay, though. We'll go on to game 3. He got us good with that that Hellkite, which we know from our playing him in our own deck. He's a pretty good card. Maybe our opponent is a smart lad in keeping that Hellkite in there. We'll keep 1 on the play. He's probably not as good on the draw because he's pretty slow, but on the play he's probably fine as a 1-of. Alright, we'll play first in game 3 here. We have a great hand. We have all our colors. We have Shock, Lava Coil, Gruul Spellbreaker, and then we have Rekindling Phoenix on 4. Cannot complain about this one. Luckily, when I've been recording, I've been getting some pretty good hands, so I can actually show off the deck how it's supposed to work. Here we'll just hold up Shock. If he plays like Growth Chamber or something, or even the Zertal, we can get it. Or I think it enters with the counter, but Crawl Harpooner, we can just Shock this here. And then we can just play a Spellbreaker with a counter on him. Hopefully, if he has only one lava coil, he'll cast it on the Spellbreaker, and then our Phoenix can go through. Rhythm of the Wild, I do not like here. Because then he doesn't commit anything to the board, and like, I mean, I guess his guys are like hasty, but, and like a little bit bigger than mine, but like at the same time, it's not like I'm countering his creatures or anything. And like now, I have 2 creatures on the board, and if he plays a creature here, then I just kill it, and he loses board control. Like, especially in these creature matchups, controlling the board is just so important. Yeah, like now I just Lava Coil his Phoenix, and I get the hold up status. Oh, the 3rd coil is pretty deadly. Obviously, coil's not the best in some matchups, but luckily we just have it in the sideboard. We should have the win here, though, I believe. Kind of depends what our opponent plays. If he goes like Scar Egg, Hellkite, it still doesn't matter. But he just played another Phoenix, which, unlucky for him, still dies to Lava Coil. I mean, either way, they would all die to 2 Lava Coils, and we don't even need the coil here, because we could just kill his... Well, he would survive at 1 if he had the egg, because he could block our Spellbreaker here, but we did get a quick win, which is really awesome, and our opponent's quite a higher rank than us, so we should go up a few percentage points here. 95%, nice, I like it. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed the deck tech and the gameplay. It's really fun for me, this is one of my favorite decks right now. Jund is a sweet color combo, and the combo with Status and Chainwhirler is so fun. If you guys did like the video, feel free to give me a like. And if you want to see more videos as I release them, or live streams when I'm live on YouTube or Twitch, you can always give me a follow on Twitch, or you can subscribe to me on YouTube. But that was another deck tech from me, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!